His Holiness's first ever Youth Tenshug, and we didn't want this initiative to just be one day. A Tenshug is not just this grand ceremony that we see on live. It's a pledge between a teacher and a student. It's the relationship, and it's the request that we're offering to His Holiness to continue to live long. And just the festival itself, the work that they're doing, I'm just like, oh my gosh, and this is a lot more than a full-time job.
We had that huge controversy around His Holiness, which is really propagated by the Chinese state. It was an incident with a tongue, and a lot of young people actually stood up and really responded. But the goal of the Chinese government is to separate and isolate us, no matter where we are, in Tibet or in exile. And so what's really important for us is to reconnect and to invest in your community and your community's future. The third day is the theme is Gadzom, which is more just celebration and gathering. So
I'll come bring that.
yeah, exactly. So that's why we kept it for the last day.
Welcome to Pija Podcast.
Samuro just everyone. I'm here with Chemi and Palmo. Where are you guys calling from?
This layer, I'm actually in Boston right now.
Okay.
I'm in Berlin, Germany.
Okay, nice. And Chemi, I briefly saw you in India. How was your travels?
Phenomenal. It's always a magical experience to be in India, specifically in Dharamsala, when His Holiness is physically present there. I think that the air is just different.
Yeah. And Palmo, how's your, summer been so far?
Yeah, good. Busy as always. I have 2 young kids, so it's chaotic, that work and then this Tenshug and festival. So it's fun. It helps that it's sunny.
You guys are both on the organizing committee for this Youth Tenshug. Chemi, I was wondering if you could start us off with like a high level of what this event is, when is it, and what are you guys doing?
Sure. Well, first and foremost, a Tenshug is a ceremony that is between a teacher and a student requesting the teacher to continue to live long, right? So it's a lifelong ceremony that is often offered by the student to a teacher. And so in between there's various rituals, there's a pledge in between. And so there's so much significance because this is a long practice ritual in our Tibetan Buddhist tradition. And we've seen, as young Tibetans, we've seen Tenshugs be offered to His Holiness the Great Dalai Lama many times, and the idea came upon one of our organizing committee members, Yanki, many years ago, and since then, actually, the idea was sort of traveled around, and Palmo actually told me this idea in Spain many moons ago, and similarly, couple of us got together, and about a year and a half ago the process started intensely to create a committee that was committed to this initiative. And then with His Holiness turning 90 this year, it was just the perfect opportunity, and we jumped on it by having an organizing committee and appointing a president who is Dawa Chenzonla. And since then we now have a committee of 15 organizing committee members, lots of subcommittee members, and also regional coordinators, a team of around 150 people already that are committed to working together to making His Holiness's first ever Youth Tenshug, I believe first ever Youth Tenshug for His Holiness happen this year in September, on September 10th. And then we didn't want this initiative to just be one day because it is so magical and such a special event. The first day is September 10th. It will be our Tenshug offering and the ceremony, and then followed by a festival 11th to 13th. So September 10th to 13th, mark your dates, everyone.
And then I know, of course, we're going to be there in person, Dharamsala. But is there something that I guess people who can't travel to those is going to be live streamed? Is there like an online forum?
Yep, for sure. So we recognize that this is, one of the most special moments for young Tibetans to be a part of, because for so long we've seen these initiatives, but this is the first time there's no major one organization or one sort of specific identity apart from your Tibetan identity that is really uniting all of us to come together and make this offering of to His Holiness to continue to live long. And so the inclusivity has been one of the core things that we've been highlighting since the beginning of our team. And to ensure that everyone feels like they're part of this initiative, of course, we encourage everyone to be there if they can. And if they can't, the registration process is very simple. You can go to TibetanYouthTenshug.com and you'll see the landing page pop up for you to register. You can register with your name and then also make a pledge. And as I was saying from the beginning, a Tenshu is not just this grand ceremony that we see on live. It's a pledge between a teacher and a student. It's the relationship and it's the request that we're offering to His Holiness to continue to live long. And so the pledge, and there's also an opportunity to donate monetarily. And so here you have your information, your name, and also some details about you, whether it's your profession. And so one of the things that our committee had talked about was His Holiness in many of his teachings years ago would always tell the younger Tibetans to become experts in whichever field it was, but to become experts. And so we really wanted to ensure that this registration was going to take in some of that data from our young Tibetans of how they're excelling in different parts of their life and actually be able to compile that data and offer to His Holiness's office and say, we had over 1,000 people register. Among them, 300 are this type of professionals. These are some of them that are PhDs and so forth. And so we're really excited for everyone. It doesn't matter who you are, where you are in life, as long as you fit the criteria of being between 18 to 45, and you're a young Tibetan that wants to be part of this initiative, you're welcome. And we want you to be part of this. And that's the emphasis that we've been placing. This is an initiative. We're not an organization that wants to stay along for a long time. We're in a group that have come together to ensure that this ceremony happens. And we're hoping that actually Tibetans from inside Tibet are somehow also able to participate in this. So we're really trying to get Tibetans from all over the world to be part of this.
And then what about you, Palmo? Why are you so excited about this event, this initiative?
Why am I excited about it? That's a good question. Lots of reasons. I mean, first of all, I wanted to sort of add to what Chemi Lhamo just mentioned about the inception of this idea. It has been sort of swirling in circles, and especially in Yankee's mind for a while. She's someone who just enjoys watching Tenshus and teachings online. Quite a rare young person, or some people do really, really enjoy it, but she watches almost all of them. And she always wondered, like, why is always this older generation, why aren't young people offering Tenshu? So I think it was a refreshing idea. But I think what really activated and catalyzed a lot of people was, of course, it was auspicious year of the 90th birthday, but we had that huge controversy around His Holiness, which is really propagated by the Chinese state to really present the Dalai Lama as this, as a potential sort of, how would I describe it? It was an incident with a tongue, and a lot of young people actually stood up and really responded, like in media, in activism, and in telling our side of the story, the Tibetan cultural context. And what we really saw was, okay, there's a next generation of young people who are really ready to step up and to speak for us. And so that was really important for us to also say, yeah, we're here, we're ready to take on the role as the next leaders. To speak for our community and to make sure we're not sidelined. And so I think the Denshu and the festival they all come together at this time to sort of just say, to show His Gundu Yaramachar that we're ready to step up, that you've invested in us, you've seeded, you've invested in educational institutions, cultural institutions, and then sort of opportunities for us to study overseas and to excel overseas, and now it's our time and our turn, and we're ready to give back to our community. So that's sort of how I sort of see the whole inception of this project, as both the Denshu and the festival being like a joint initiative. And I also wanted to add that the festival was really designed as a way to sort of recognize, okay, we're all united in our appreciation, our support, and our commitment to His Holiness and his commitments and continuing his work. And if we're all gathered there for the Denshu, then why not take this opportunity, this really rare opportunity where youth are gathering, led by our peers, to also have a sort of more secular, a freer space where we can connect, we can engage in dialogue, share ideas, but also just have fun. And in a space that's designed for us, by us, with no sort of political agenda. This is just for us to enjoy and for us to connect. And so I'm just excited just to have this opportunity, really. I think it feels really rare, and we hope that it will continue in future iterations. But for now, I mean, it's a big project, so if we can all gather and either be physically present or remotely present or engaged, that would be an incredible experience for all of us. And on that topic of remote engagement, as a festival co-organizer with Chemi and Palmo, we're working on also having streaming. So for the sessions that can be streamed, that are not so sensitive, we'll make them available online. And then we're considering options for conversations, but that's a bit more of a logistical task. But as Chemi Lhamo also mentioned already, like one of our key values is inclusivity.
And then, so just doing like a program rundown. So I saw that September 10th is Wednesday, Lagar Wednesday, right? So Lagar Wednesday, it's going to be the Tenshug, right? And that's going to last, I guess, from the morning till the afternoon. Is there anything happening in the week, in the evening? Do you guys have planned, or is it in the process? And then the festival is the next 2 days, right? Is that correct?
3 days.
3 days, gotcha. And then what's happening during those times? What is the festival? Could you like illustrate that out a little bit? Yeah.
Okay, so I mean, more details will be released soon, but we have already released the program for the 3-day festival, and the way we've sort of organized the festival is around 3 themes. So first of Dharamsala, which is more connection and devotion, and that's sort of meant to capture the Denshu, is our devotion to His Holiness and his work and his 4 commitments. And then the second theme is Dalam, which is conversation and connection. So about dialogue and just connecting with each other. And so that's meant to capture the first 2 days of the festival, which is very much sort of panel sessions, cultural workshops, as well as breakout sessions and open mic sessions. And we've got really interesting sort of themes that we focused on for the panel sessions. So about language education in India and abroad, about new approaches to Tibetan history, as well as Buddhism in Tibetan youth. There's a lot, to be honest. So I encourage everyone to look on our social media page. We have that information out there. But we're making the first 2 days just really about connecting, meeting at charangs, and sharing ideas. And we also have a partnership with the Tibet Film Festival. So this is a lot of fun things, I think, for everyone to enjoy. And then the 3rd day is actually, the theme is Gadzom, which is more just celebration and gathering. So
I'll come for that.
yeah, exactly. So that's why we kept it for the last day. So everybody stays for this big celebration at the end, which is really is the festival part. It's the linga and a big concert. And that's a day for everybody to really join. And everybody is welcome to this. It's not just youth. This is open for the whole community. And it's at Upper Tisavie, which is really sort of, I think, perfect and poetic in a sense, because it's about us reconnecting, relearning, and exploring together, and in a space, where it has long been a space for learning, connecting, and inspiring. So I think it's really nice to return to Upper Tisavie as one of the key institutions in the Tibetan education exile system. Mm-hmm. But the 3rd day is really open for everyone, and there's a family kids zone, Goshe, of course, and then a big concert and tombola, and everything that gets everybody excited. So no excuse to really miss it if you're nearby.
Yeah. I think as I'm hearing you guys and listening to you guys, it feels sort of like a coming out party for the younger generation. Is that how you guys feel about it? Or of course, the elder generation, we have deep respect and they're still carrying the baton in a way, but it seems that we're at a inflection point where both the youth and the I guess the older generation are holding on to both.
Hmm. Definitely. I mean, as seeds and beneficiaries of His Holiness's compassion and the tireless work that he's done for Tibet, we, the young people, wanted to, um, of course, express our gratitude while also sending a message to the entire world in many ways and folks inside of Tibet and the international community that we're here, we're ready to step up, we're going to ensure that our unique cultural identity, the Tibetan community, our civilization is not eroding in any way, and we are going to continue the work that His Holiness has, been leading with such vision, and the universal values are being promoted, and we have we actually draw sustenance and strength from our own traditions, and so it's a sign of unity, it's a sign of commitment that we are making to preserve our language, our culture, and our unique Tibetan spirit. And if you want to call that coming out, sure. I think we've always had it in us. Here now we're getting an opportunity and a platform to be able to express it and use it to propel us into a stage where we can express our gratitude while also celebrating our beautiful culture that is ever changing while preserving our history and building our future. There's so much that is happening in one moment. And of course, it is expressed in this event or initiative that is happening over the period of 4 days. But it's also the process. And I want to emphasize that even every day, like, just this morning, it was like, I think 8 a.m. early meetings, and it's always timed for about an hour and maybe an hour and a half. But the meeting goes much longer because there's so much to talk about the process. How many people are now involved? Currently, we have over 100, I believe, regional coordinators. So in every region, and the emphasis on inclusivity is also accessibility, is that we're making sure that the regional coordinators are from the specific region so that everyone hears about it, and there's an opportunity for anyone and everyone to get involved. And so it's not just saying the words unity, but it's actually putting it into action by showing that we're all united with our commitment and our gratitude that we feel to His Holiness, and our commitment to wanting to preserve our culture and move forward and carry on the torch that our older generations have worked so hard to preserve while in exile.
Yeah, that's great. You talked about process, right? If you could, either of you or both of you could take us like behind the scenes a little bit, like what goes into the, I guess, the process, or to turn this vision into a reality. Could you talk a little bit about like I guess from your perspective, like from your, I guess, um, from the different organization committee members or the regional members, like what is their role look like, and like uh, the different roles and different responsibilities, and what are those, you talked about 8 a.m. meetings, and those going on for like much longer than scheduled, like can you like talk about like the work that you guys are doing, and don't be
Yeah.
humble about it, yeah.
No, no, of course. Maybe I can do a quick brief or outline, and then Bum will jump on with all the details because, just the festival itself, the work that they're doing, I'm just like, oh my gosh, this is a lot more than a full-time job.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, so from the beginning, right, when we have a bunch of folks that are driven by the right intentions, it's also important to have action oriented sort of goals and be able to put out work, right? And so, one of the first things that we're doing is really putting things on paper about what are those intentions, and really having the vision to making it much larger. And so, it's not just like, hey, I trust you, let's just start something. No, it was, yeah, there's trust, but also let's put it on paper about your commitment, my commitment. And I know things are going to get rough, but let's have these things down. And it's not about one person or the other, it's actually about this initiative. And the initiative has always been at the center of it, and the initiative being our way of expressing our commitment and gratitude to His Holiness through a Tenshu offering, right? And so starting with main documents that we were like all signing and asking everybody to sign and like holding it to each other to account, and then having our regular meetings, and then it was the real process of submitting the letters, getting it translated. So these are sort of the BTS from the beginning, even before the appointment of the president and developing a team with specific roles. So there was meetings again already happening about this process. Then once we got our president and also specific organizing committee members. At that time, we had about like maybe 6, I believe, and then we built our team, and our team was now is we have about 15 organizing committee members, and each of them have taken lead in one of the sort of departments, and the departments include communications, finance, we have a festival team, logistics, we have team that has been really doing like logo, brand, governance. At one point we even thought about like what happens after the Tenshu, so should we do a scholarship, and then we had another team that was looking into that, and of course we have our outreach team, and of course fundraising, because that's not possible without funds. So you see, these are the various teams, and this is now like the list of teams itself is becoming much longer than 15 people's work, as you can see. And so naturally what we did was we took lead on these committees, and then we started to get more people on board. And so we have subcommittee members. So we have over 30 subcommittee members that are all supporting each of the teams. And so I have the lovely pleasure of chairing the communications team with Shingi. We chair the team, but we have amazing members from different continents. At different wee hours of the night, we're up trying to figure out who's going to get the translation out, who's going to post this, who's going to put the next post up. And yeah, that's sort of the BTS. And we have our organizing committee team meetings, but then we also have a weekly team meeting with our subcommittee comms meeting, and then anything else you're helping out with, whether it's like the team meeting out in Dasa when we were in Tungar, then it's like another team meeting about the handbook that we want to maybe like create for people who come to Tenshu. What are the goodies? And likewise, there's so many side conversations that are happening about other initiatives that will be part of the Tenshu. And so all to say that this is an initiative that is driven by passion, love, and all these positive emotions, but being put into action with actual work being done on the grounds, and also, externally or on the web to be able to do it. And you can see that. Just look at the website. Like everything we're doing is done in English, done in Tibetan, and you'll see our work speak for itself. Yeah. Palmo, you want to add anything?
Sure, thanks, Chemi. I think you did the tough one by breaking down the whole team. But I think what I can sort of add is, in terms of contextualizing sort of the fact that we conceived this idea with the goal of it being inclusive and consensus sort of based. And so that, when you do that, it's actually really hard, because you don't have one leader that just sets the agenda and says, we're doing this. We want it to be consultative, and also to have people from different backgrounds and different experiences. And everybody has, different timetables, they have different commitments, and it's very hard to sort of coordinate time as well as people's, like their vision, and then their ability to sort of like, to really support the whole, like the project in its entirety. So it took a lot of time to really get it up and going, to gain real momentum. We were throwing around ideas for a while. And then we recognized you really can't do much on this. You have to build even more in terms of recruit more people. And so I just want to emphasize that, because that non-political or non-aligned value that we had at the beginning made it also quite difficult. And I've seen a lot of criticism online saying, oh, who's organizing this? Who's behind this? Like, what's the agenda? And the exact point is that there is no agenda, or there's no ulterior motive here. It's just we wanted to all come together from all groups, but in an individual capacity, so that we could draw on each of our strengths and networks to offer something as a collective youth. And because of that vision, it was really hard to get it going. Chemi Lhamo really knows it took time to really get things put on paper, get people to really commit and sign the commitment, and also to build their teams. And so I just want to give that background. And then in terms of the festival team that Jamyang Pintola and I co-manage, our team is as big as the Tenshug committee. It's about 15 or 14 people, and half of them are in India, and the other half are in the US or Europe. And we have the same issues of like constant communication and constantly needing direction, because we have to do the production design, we have to do our own comms, we have to do our own logistics, artists, engaging concert performers, designing the program, managing a website. So there's a whole lot of work, and it's challenging, but it's also very rewarding. That's what I'll say. And we all put in a lot of time, only because we all share that common vision and belief that like we can put our best foot forward to create something really, really sort of enriching and fun for the youth, and also for the Tenshug, because it is connected to the Tenshug, the festival.
I appreciate that. And so you're saying the festival committee is as big as the Tenshug committee, correct?
Yes, but of course the Tenshug committee has more subcommittees. Like the outreach team is like 100, if not more.
Then I guess personally for you guys, like, is there anything that you guys have learned from doing this type of work? I mean, I know both of you guys are super active, not just in the Tibetan community, but like professionally. Is there anything that you guys learned or needed to learn to do differently? Anything like that?
Okay, what have I learned? I think what's been both positive and challenging has been like also realizing, because I'm really consultative, so I like to just get feedback from everybody, and I realized everybody has very different opinions and preferences, about what is a fun event, and what is a interesting topic to talk about, and who is a great artist of theirs. And so that's always challenging, and that's because everybody has different backgrounds, obviously. And so it's interesting to sort of come together and go, okay, what's the program we can design that everybody can enjoy, and that does not only cater to your your social group or your upbringing and your background, because that's the biggest challenge, is creating a diverse programming that's suited to our diverse community. And the other challenge is probably project management, because that's really the key skill needed in such an endeavor, because you're managing different people and different tasks across time zones, and that all have to be delivered in Dharamsala, which operates in a very different way, and so that's a key learning. But most probably I've just really enjoyed all the things I've learned, because I've seen the incredible ideas and energy and like skills that everybody has, and it's really, really fun to be a part of. One key sort of highlight is that I've been able to connect with, and not just me, my whole team has been able to connect with groups across our community that are often siloed, and that you wouldn't normally get to communicate with, and to sort of come together and say, oh, we can all contribute what we do in our little silos for a bigger cause. So that's been challenging, but really, really motivating.
Yeah, I'll just jump onto that as well, because just recently when I was in Dharamsala for Kuitunga, we had a group of us that were hanging out sort of the after hours, and I looked around the table, and I actually had like multiple times of the night there were people that would stand up and sort of make a toast to just take a moment and look around. And there were some young folks that recently came from Tibet. There are folks that were born in Tibet and grew up in TCV, and then there were folks from the West, and there were folks that were born in the West. There were very intersectional identities as well. There were T plus. There were folks that maybe spoke Tibetan but didn't speak English very well. But then the multilingual. Some spoke English and not so well Tibetan. But we're all on one table, and like I remember at that point, that restaurant or bar, whatever it was, the venue was like trying to get more tables into the space, and it almost looked like we booked out the whole place for just us, because the party just kept getting bigger and bigger with people wanting to sit on the same table. And that, I think, represents exactly what this initiative is about. Is, you know, us young people, we are choosing to commit our time, effort, passion into this initiative because of, one, how directly it expresses our gratitude and commitment to His Holiness, yes. At the same time, it's creating a sense of belonging for young people to just belong and be. And know that they're accepted, and that their Tibetan identity, from whichever part of life they're coming from, in whatever situation they're in, that if you're a young Tibetan, then there's something that unites us. And it's not just our intergenerational trauma of losing our country, it's also celebrating the joy, the love, and the deep meaning, connection, discipline, resilience that our ancestors worked on for this long-standing practice ritual via a tenshu that you can communicate to your teacher. And it's such a beautiful opportunity that we've been able to tap into. And I think there's so much gratitude, not just for the process, but also the people that we get to be part of. And I think I'm just looking forward to more of those. And I hope that we get to, do that in September. And it's just a start. And I hope that this will be something that kicks off or sparks many more initiatives in the future. And I know for a fact that I'm already connecting with folks that, Palmo and I know each other for a long time, but now we're connecting on all these other things too, because we don't get the time to talk about other projects that are work related and so forth in these meetings. And so we're finding news time spaces to talk about other collaborations and spaces where we align to be able to continue to do meaningful work. And so really it feels like a kickoff point. Not to say that things haven't been done before; they've always been done, which is what we're being able to build on here. And so there's that. And then one thing I think is a challenge has been, like, in my life, I feel like many a times I learn something and then I'm asked to, like, sort of train or do pass it on. This initiative, I really feel like I'm learning on the job. I'm just like, what is this process? I'm like, oh, I thought I knew something about Buddhism, but I really don't. Like, this ritual has to do this. And so there's a lot of things to learn in this process. And so we're learning on the go. So if at any time people feel like, we're behaving a certain way, it's like we're also learning, and we want you to learn with us. And this is, we're really being vulnerable in the sense that we want everyone to be part of this journey together, and be in community with each other. And so it's a challenge, but also personal challenge rather, to be able to be in this position. And it's been eye-opening and great so far.
Can I ask you guys? Yeah.
Can
Go ahead, Palmo.
Can I just add to that? I wanted to mention one sort of, like, some of the really tangible learnings I've had is first just learning what a tenshu involves. Like, I've always known about it, I've seen it, but really, like, what it takes to offer one, because there are set sort of rules, that things you have to offer, prayers that you have to offer, specific objects and what they symbolize, and having a dojo loma, which is sort of like a lead sort of like a lama or a rinpoche to lead the prayers and the offering. So all these things we would not normally learn. So I think that's what's exciting also, that we're learning as organizers, but our goal is this Densho is also to educate and share that knowledge with young Tibetans as well. So that's a big sort of goal of this Densho project. And the other real learning I've had is just really simple logistical things, like designing a logo and what motifs mean, like what specific Tibetan motifs mean, and the context that they should be used in, or what certain objects symbolize His Holiness, in imagery. And then the other really critical thing I've experienced and also realized is like a blessing from this whole experience is the transfer of knowledge from those of us who are in the West and those of us who are in India, transferring their knowledge to us and us sharing our skills and knowledge with them, so that we're all sort of better off. And then also, our goal after this event is that this is not just for us as organizers to just be like, oh great, we achieved something amazing and the youth could come together, but it's also to give that opportunity for like other youth, younger youth, if you want to call them that, to also, take on this project, and we would transfer that knowledge to them. And how do you organize such an initiative like this? Because this is not about us. This is just about us transferring knowledge and skills and bringing us all together.
Yeah, can you talk a little bit about that maybe? Like what are you guys planning for after? At least what's in the works? What are you guys thinking about? You talked about like maybe like giving like a blueprint or handing out a blueprint. What else are you guys thinking? What's the call to action after?
Well, that's a big question. So, like, I think a simple one is really, a blueprint for how you do this and how we can keep doing this for our community. But really, what I want people to come out on a personal note is to come out sort of having learned about the Denshu, and having connected with people that they would not normally connect with, accessing or listening to speakers in our community who are normally siloed. Talking to someone who's an expert on Tibetan literature or on Tibetan costume or tangas, or someone who's a historian but approaches history in a very different way. Those are the real tangible sort of outcomes that I think would be great to see. And also, as Chemi Lhamo already mentioned, that this event is sort of like a platform, a catalyzing platform for more things to come. Because once you connect, share ideas, then you can collaborate in the future, and those geographical boundaries don't limit us, and also language as well. But we had grand plans about like a special grant, but that's a challenge because fundraising is a challenge. So if we do manage to fundraise more than we need, then of course a long-term project is to create a special grant for Tibetan youth, to support projects that advance the Dalai Lama's 4 commitments.
Yeah, I think that is a great summary, because the end is the call to action is to be you, to be Tibetan, and whatever that means. And if you have no idea what it means to be a Tibetan, then His Holiness has also already done the work for us in so many aspects of our lives. But here are his 4 commitments. And by furthering and taking part in the commitments of His Holiness, here you have sort of, again, a blueprint on what it means to be a Tibetan. And it's not the only way, but here is one way, and that one way just happens to be one that unites so many of us inside and outside Tibet, where borders and occupation has separated us and severed our ties. His Holiness continues to be that one entity that unites us all, and whether it is amongst and within ourselves, or it's in the international community even, right? His Holiness is our Yishinubu Dalai Lama, and so here is an opportunity to continue his legacy, take part, an opportunity to contribute yourself, and be you, be the Tibetan you.
I've never thought of it as a call to action, but I guess that is what it is that the goal, like a few wise elders in our community have told me that, and they've really phrased it nicely, captured it, that the goal of the Chinese government is to separate and isolate us, no matter where we are, in Tibet or in exile. And so what's really important for us is to actually reconnect the ties that bind us, right? So that's the call to action. But also that the way we do that is, and I think Dawa Loki Sangwon speaks about this in her recent presentation at the youth forum, the Utong Youth Forum. She talks about love and compassion, and how that is a model of reinvesting in our community, a model for reinvesting in our community. So the call to action is to reconnect and to invest in your community and your community's future, or our community's future.
Chimi, you just talked about His Holiness' commitments, and that's actually one of the things that you asked, or the the initiative asked the participants to sign, right? You guys like your contracts. What's can you give us can you give my our audience a run through of like the four commitments, and then maybe both Chimi and Bamo, which one are you guys committing to and why?
Ooh. Okay, first and foremost, His Holiness's four commitments are the following, right? First is the promotion and cultivation of secular ethics and universal values. Two, religious harmony. Three, the preservation of Tibet's language and culture. And four, more recent, the revival of the ancient Nalanda tradition related to mind and emotion. So in regards to these four commitments, I think it's so all encompassing, right? Because when you're taking care, when you embody secular ethics and universal values, you learn to take care about everyone, and not just talking about human beings, all sentient beings. You're thinking about Mother Earth, you're thinking about the elements, and so there's this sort of huge umbrella to work within. And so what does this encompass? I think about our project, our initiative, and 14 or 15-year-old, I hope it's okay that I'm naming them. Their name is Tsering, reached out to us in an email and was like, I want to be part of this. I'm too young. I don't meet the criteria, but, I really want to be a part of it. Please let me know how I can. And then he also expressed that, as part of his pledge, he likes planting trees. And so he wants to make sure that, he does one as part of his pledge, and making his contribution towards preserving being eco-friendly. And so there's one, right? But there's so many ways in which you can contribute towards His Holiness's four commitments. When it's talking about religious harmony, we want to be able to engage in interfaith dialogue. Oftentimes, His Holiness has said, this 21st century is the century of dialogue. It's not no longer the century of war and killings. We want it to be a century of dialogue. And so, what does that entail? Is to have people from different walks of life, different religious backgrounds, being able to come and sit on the same table and talk about our common grounds, not something that separates us and divides us and is different between us, but rather celebrating our differences in a common table. And so there's religious harmony, and then preservation of Tibetan culture and language and identity is so evident. And I think that's happening with this process. So many of us, I mean, my Tibetan skills are getting better each meeting because I'm learning to hear the Amda accent, because we have a subcommittee member who's from Amdo, and when he speaks Pake, you just hear the Amke, and I'm like, ooh, my Amke is getting better too, to be able to hear. And so there's that. There's a lot that folks are already doing to learn the Tibetan language, and culture is ever changing. But there's also pillars of our identity in our culture, the traditions and rituals that one can learn. And then as part of the fourth one, the Nalanda tradition, which I think I'm committing myself to, not I think, I am, and I'll be wording it out, is, I really love to debate in the Tibetan Takse style, and I absolutely enjoy watching monks do that, because I think it embodies our Tibetan culture of having compassion and love for our supposed opponent, or the person that you're debating with, because it's not about winning, it's about getting other opponent to the realization by producing or showing the contradiction in their logic within one sentence, right? That's what a Tengyupa, a Prasangika school does. A Prasangika debate, Prasangika style debate, is presenting the two contradicting sentiments or statements of that entity in one line, and making it come out of them so that they can see the sort of flaw in their logic. And so it's so beautiful in that way, that Western world, or rather the external entity, external world, when we talk about debate, it's all about like proving the other person wrong. But here it's not proving the other person wrong, it's rising them from the ignorance towards wisdom, or what have you not. And so I think it's so beautiful, and it embodies everything that I want to be able to do as part of my pledge to the revival of the ancient knowledge of our mind and understanding it. So there's that, and you get the why. But yeah, that's the four, and I'll pass it on to Paul.
Before
Yeah.
Before we tag Palmo, I wanted to ask you. This is completely like personal for me. Like every week, or I think for most week, you're consistent with your. You meet your gela on Zoom or sometimes in person. Can you talk a little bit about that? That's completely personal for me. I'm like just curious. Like, are you fairly consistent with it? What do you like? What are you currently studying? If that's okay for me to ask.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to share. My teacher's name is Gendu Tundula. He is a Gandhi Changde monk who has been practicing for over 50 years. And I'm so lucky to have come across him about 9 years ago, 8, 9 years ago. And since then, I've been studying under him various texts. And currently, I'm studying the Bodhisattva's Way of Life, which is the Jinju. And many of the texts that I've been studying under him have been, the core texts that I always hear His Holiness talk about in his teachings, but have no idea what they are, or like also have not taken the time to like actually read the full script myself. But every week I get to attend my class with Gela, and now I have the very great opportunity to translate for him. So I've been very lucky to be able to not only be part of learning under him, but now make it available in English for other people who would like to learn under him. And yeah, and that's also one of the more key reasons my Tibetan skills have also improved. As many people would tell me, my Tibetan skills have improved a lot, but this is the secret. Let me tell you, it's the Tibetan classes.
And then, so for the past 4 or 5 years, you've been fairly consistent about attending those weekly
Seven,
classes with
eight, 7 to 8 years. Even during
78.
COVID, we continued, and I was
Wow.
very grateful that Gela taught me, um, despite COVID restrictions. Gela lives alone, so I had various opportunities to learn under him. So yeah, and it's been very beneficial for me. It's a very selfish endeavor because in my life, I've gone through things that, of course, many people have suffering in their life, but to overcome the suffering, the amount of strength that I've received from the teachings has been incredible and allows me to have the strength and conviction and commitment to the freedom movement, Tibetan freedom movement, because of Dharma practice.
And Bamula, what are you committing to? What are you pledging?
Mine's a little more simple, but I think everybody really should just focus on what is achievable and suited to them. And mine is really focused on language and cultural preservation. So mine is just committing to, doing an online Tibetan language lesson, but particularly for my sort of area of work where I tend to have to do interviews in English a lot, but I can rarely do the interviews in Tibetan. So my goal is to be able to do interviews in Tibetan to share information on reports and things that I write. And then the other element of my pledge was also to pledge to mentor younger Tibetans who are taking on a similar path that I've taken. And that's not language or cultural preservation, but it's very much just important for me to also just reinvest in our community, and hopefully through that I can find other tangible ways to do that.
Amazing. I think that's a good place to end it. We we hit 1,000 registrants, right? What's that goal? What's the ultimate goal? Do we have a number in mind, or?
Our president likes to say in some interviews 5,000 to 10,000,
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
which we love. It's a very great goal to have. But again, like there's no boundaries. Like we have so many young Tibetans all over the world, and we want anyone and everyone to get involved. And so we're not capping it at anywhere. The more, the merrier, and we really mean it when we say this. And that's why we're trying our hardest in every way possible to make it accessible and inclusive for everyone. So you see our videos on social media, like we're trying to do the trends, but we're also trying to do like educational videos. So then we have English translation, Tibetan translation, and then making everything user friendly as possible and going from traditional media to social media, word of mouth. We're even reaching out to YouTube influencers to be like, can you please tell them about our initiative? We're tabling physically in Switzerland next week. During Tungar, we were tabling all around the world. And so really want anyone and everyone that is a young Tibetan that fits the criteria to, jump on board and be part of this initiative, because it really is about us and by us and for us. And yeah, please be part of this. It'll be amazing.
How else can people get involved if they, let's say, of course they can come to Dharamsala or be an online participant, but how else can they become involved?
Yeah, so even if you can't physically be there on September 10th onwards, you can be part of our committee. You can be an ROC yourself. You can help out by volunteering. Where are your skill set? If you have video editing skills, like, we'd love to have you on our comms team. Like, please join us. Um, you know, any skills that you have and X amount of time that you are able to commit to the initiative, we would love for you to join us in different ways and contribute to the team. And then if you have not a lot of time, but you spend some time on Instagram scrolling, you can share our initiative. And, just last 3 days ago, we actually had an online concert. We were aiming for it to be an hour, but we did it for 3 hours. So we also have released a new music. We have Rapkit Rita, the infamous Rita, who led a song Guyang. It's literally the Tenshu song, and we have like more than 12 artists that collaborated on this, and all of them are young Tibetan artists and mentored by Tenzin Chogila. So we're doing so many initiatives, and anywhere you have time and skill set to be able to contribute, please, you can join us. Reach out to us at Tibetan Youth Tenshug on Instagram, or our email, which is youthtenshu@gmail.com, or on our website. When you register, you can write a comment and say, hey, I'm interested in helping out in this way. And so share about our initiative, tag people, make sure people are registering. And the more we talk about it, the more you know about it, but also more of us are included, and it'll be amazing together.
Amazing. Palmo, any last words?
Yeah, I just want to say that we're collecting information on Tenshug registrants because we would like to offer a report at the end to His Holiness to say, this is what you've invested in, and these are the professionals and the Tibetan youth, like what they're doing out in the world. As a way to show him that, we're here, we're going to continue our work and continue to invest in our community. I also wanted to add that the festival, it might be confusing for some people that there's a Tenshu and a festival, and we'll have a separate festival website where you need to buy festival tickets. And the tickets will be 300 rupees for 3 days, and $30 for 3 days for individuals from outside, just as a way to the cost is not meant to be prohibitive. It's just meant to say, look, we're just committing. We're investing a lot in this event, and it's all volunteer efforts and funded by sponsors and individual donors. So we're not making money out of this. So we just hope that people will come and attend and buy tickets online at our Youth Festival website. And then I also just wanted to close. Oh, I forgot what I wanted to say at the end of that, but finally I wanted to add that the other way people can support is to donate. So we definitely need donors because organising something like this is quite expensive, and to really deliver this kind of event that we want, because we're working with young architects who are really professional, creating incredible production design. So when you come to the festival, I think everyone's going to be really impressed. 'Cause I was pretty shocked with what they produced, and Chemi Lhamo was, I think, seeing the designs. It's quite mind blowing. So it's going to be really worth you coming, and also I'm excited for you all to see our merchandise that will also be sold. So just follow the updates, donate. Also, if your families can also help to donate, so that we can all connect as youth. I think that would be a really key message to share.
Yeah, not a lot of things in life are free, but here is an opportunity for you to collect a lot of good karma. And we have been able to do that. Very lucky to have the opportunity to do so, and we want you to be part of this. And so please donate if you can. And even if it's a small amount, because this is about the connection that you're making with your teacher. And so whether it's through the pledge, whether it's through registering as a Tenshu participant, or donating, or all of the above, or volunteering, here is an opportunity, and it is really a celebration of all of us, our community, and our commitment and gratitude to His Holiness to continue his legacy for his 4 commitments. And so join us. Find out more at TibetanYouthTenshug.com. We have the Tibetan version as well, so check that out.
Thank you, Palmo. Thank you, Chemi. Palmo, thank you for the work you do at the International Campaign for Tibet. I remember reading one of your reports a year or two back on the environmental defenders, and I just thought about, I was amazed about the quality of research, and was baffled by how do you even figure this out? How do you discover the truth on a place that's so restricted? So thank you for your work there, and Chemi Lhamo, thank you for your work in SFT, and you know how much you I guess how much I deeply admire you and how much you mean to our entire Tibetan youth. And thank you to Jigme, thank you to Youngi, and thank you to the rest of the organizing committees and all the volunteers at the Tibetan Youth Tenshug. So thank you, everyone. Appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you, Puja Podcast, for hosting us.
Yeah, of course.
thank you.
And register, everyone.
Register. Link in bio.
See you there, everybody.
Link in bio. Make sure you subscribe. Donate.